and strip Tom, that they need to be fighting for the undisputed title. It's the White House, it's special, Tom is out, let's get Pierre versus Surreal and let's do it for the belt. Well, I think we're close on that. I just think it's the interim belt. And there was some discussion going around that Tom had been asked to vacate the title. The way the story goes is that the UFC asked Tom, vacate the title. You do it, it's a PR thing, right? I mean, it's our belt, we take it back whenever we want, but that's not what we want to do.
Alex Pereira is about to make the biggest mistake of his career, and Tom Aspinall is the reason why. While everyone's getting hyped about some fantasy White House megacard and Pereira chasing heavyweight glory, they're completely missing what's actually happening here. This isn't about legacy or being a two-division champion. This is about a light heavyweight king running scared from the most dangerous man in the sport.
Kate, if you release me. I like your idea, I hear everything you're saying. We can have a discussion about re-signing and coming back in and getting my belt, but it'll keep my options open. If you want me to do this, here's what I want. Now, first off, that doesn't seem like something Tom would say, but this is the way the story goes. And if Tom did say that, respect, because he's standing up for himself. And Tom has the right to stand up for himself, because people do have a very short-term memory on how Tom got to where Tom got. I think they forget that he tore his knee against Curtis Blades.
Here's what nobody wants to admit. Pereira's entire heavyweight move is built on borrowed time and desperation. You think it's coincidence that right when Tom Aspinall starts making noise about getting his undisputed shot, suddenly Pereira wants to vacate and move up? Come on. This is classic championship politics at its most brutal. Dana White is practically drooling over the idea of Pereira headlining some massive White House card, but there's one massive problem with that plan. Aspinall isn't playing along. He's not just going to hand over his interim belt so Pereira can skip the line and chase easy money fights. This interim heavyweight champion has been through absolute hell to get where he is, remembering every brutal moment of his injury comeback, and he's not about to let some light heavyweight waltz in and steal his thunder without a fight.
Never even got outside the first. Got his confidence back, got his momentum back, started to build some steam. I mean, all the stuff he did, he's on a trajectory, he agrees to John Jones, he doesn't hold anybody up for money, he doesn't hold anybody up for time. I mean, he's doing anything that he can do. And frankly, he did everything right. He was a massive team player. He was a massive star. I think you might forget how he captured the interim title in the first place. I think that you might forget about the fight against Sergey Pavlich, where Tom was in England. They put this thing together so fast that Tom's wife couldn't even come and join him. And this is a moment, Madison Square Garden, this is a moment for the family, for the sacrifice of the...
But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Pereira's camp knows something that they're desperately trying to hide from the public. Those light heavyweight cuts are destroying his body, absolutely obliterating him. You can see it in his face every time he steps on that scale. The sheer agony of cutting down to 205 pounds when his natural walking weight is pushing heavyweight territory. So when people talk about this move up as some bold championship gamble, they're missing the real story. This isn't courage, it's survival. His body is literally forcing him to heavyweight, and Dana White is just trying to spin it as some grand legacy play. Meanwhile, Aspinall is sitting there with his interim belt, knowing exactly what leverage he holds, and he's using every ounce of it.
It's an interesting thing. Now, I know that Tom wants to box, and that's where you can overplay your hand. There is no boxing out there for Tom. There's no boxing out there for any of them. And boxing also is not what they think. It is not just this huge payday, and it's none of these things that they think that it is. And you do have those outlier stories. You do have a McGregor versus Mayweather, but McGregor versus Mayweather didn't happen because McGregor stood up to the UFC. McGregor versus Mayweather happened and was a success because the greatest carnival barker of all time.
Now listen to this part because it changes everything. Aspinall isn't just another heavyweight contender waiting his turn. This guy is a legitimate nightmare matchup for anyone in that division, including Pereira. His fight IQ is off the charts, his technical skills are elite level, and his power is absolutely devastating. But more importantly, he understands the psychological warfare aspect of this game better than almost anyone. Every time he opens his mouth demanding his undisputed title shot, every interview where he refuses to step aside, he's applying more pressure on Pereira's entire heavyweight plan. He's essentially saying, "You want to come up here? You're going to have to go through me first." And that's exactly what Pereira was hoping to avoid.
Stuff, and they were willing to take a gamble on it. I mean, I'm only sharing for you. They're now partners with the UFC. That opportunity's not there. And I don't want to rain on Tom at all. I'm just sharing, if you can box and you can do MMA, it's the same commissions, it's the same process, just by example. And the opportunity would be in MMA. There is no world title opportunity in boxing. There's also no big paycheck in boxing. This is fiction. But Tom would have those options open, and if that's important to him.
Here's the kicker that nobody's talking about. Dana White's White House megacard dreams are completely dependent on Pereira being able to make a clean transition to heavyweight without any messy interim title situations. But Aspinall is making that impossible. He's forcing the UFC's hand by refusing to just disappear quietly into the background. This isn't just about one fighter being stubborn. This is about the entire power structure of the heavyweight division. Aspinall knows that his interim belt is the most valuable bargaining chip in the sport right now, and he's using it to completely disrupt the UFC's carefully laid plans. Every day he holds on to that belt and demands his shot is another day that Pereira's heavyweight move gets more complicated.
Out of line for the way that Tom would normally operate. So keep that thought and do what you would like with it. But now let's take a look at Alex Pereira, because if Pereira is going to go if he is going to go to heavyweight, then he needs to be a heavyweight. I don't think that Pereira would disagree with me. And I don't think that Pereira would have any problem giving the 205.
And get this, the pressure on Pereira isn't just coming from Aspinall. It's coming from his own body betraying him at light heavyweight. Those brutal cuts to 205 are taking years off his career, and everyone in his camp knows it. But moving up to heavyweight means walking directly into Aspinall's territory, and that's a fight that could end his entire legacy in one night. Think about the impossible position he's in. Stay at light heavyweight and let the weight cuts slowly destroy him, or move up and face a monster like Aspinall who's been waiting for exactly this opportunity. It's like choosing between a slow death and potentially getting knocked into another dimension.
Instead of working with the company, he goes into business for himself. He gives the belt back. This wasn't greatly perceived, but it's John, and there's a little room here. And then he sat for 3 years. For 3 years, he stayed out trying to gain the size to be heavyweight. Very humble thing for John to do, because frankly, John could have stepped in and won that heavyweight belt with no time off, but I'm just telling the story the way that it happened. So if Pierre is to do the exact same thing, I'm the light heavyweight champ. I want to pursue the heavyweight championship. Hey, by the way, I don't need any time. Let's go. I can fight light heavyweight on this date, or I can fight heavyweight. Either way, let's go. Gangster move. Very in line with what Alex Pereira does.
But wait, it gets worse. Aspinall's team is already painting the narrative that Pereira is running scared. Every interview, every social media post, they're subtly suggesting that the light heavyweight champion is afraid to face the real king of heavyweight. And you know what's crazy? They might be right. Pereira's entire fighting style relies on his speed and timing advantages, but against someone like Aspinall who matches his power and exceeds his technical skills, those advantages disappear. This heavyweight move isn't just about chasing glory. It's about trying to find easier fights while his body can still handle the punishment.
But I don't think that we're looking at quite right. I don't think it's bad if they fight for the interim championship at all. At all. I think that's great. I do think if Pereira and Cyril fight, there's got to be a belt. It needs to be scheduled for a potential 5 rounds. Pereira is the champion of the world. If the champion of the world fights, a championship of the world's got to be on the line. That can be the interim. But as opposed to the idea that, hey, it's got to be Tom's belt. Nothing personal, Tom. We got to move on, and it's got to be for the undisputed championship. No, I don't agree with that. But I would agree that of that scenario, the one that does have to be stripped or to vacate the belt would be Pereira. And I don't think that
Hold up, did you catch what just happened in that last Aspinall interview? The man basically issued an ultimatum. He's not moving aside for anyone, not even for Dana White's mega-card dreams. When he talks about potentially moving to boxing, that's not a real threat, that's psychological warfare. He's showing the UFC exactly what they'd lose if they try to screw him over for Pereira's heavyweight debut. The interim champion knows that his presence alone is enough to derail the entire Pereira heavyweight narrative, and he's using that power ruthlessly. This is chess at the highest level, and Aspinall is playing it perfectly.
In the least, let those guys get on with it. If it doesn't work out at heavyweight and I want to go back here, I'll come in, and whoever's champion, I'll see you. I mean, in the words of Israel Adesanya, You deal with that.
Now here's what's really going on behind the scenes. Dana White is caught between two impossible choices. Give Aspinall his undisputed shot and potentially ruin the Pereira megacard plans, or try to force Aspinall aside and risk losing one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the sport. Meanwhile, Pereira is stuck in the middle, watching his body break down at light heavyweight while knowing that heavyweight means facing the scariest man in the division. The UFC's entire heavyweight division is essentially being held hostage by one interim champion who refuses to play politics. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Pereira's team is actually considering just vacating the light heavyweight belt without even defending it against the obvious contenders just to make this heavyweight move happen. Think about how desperate that sounds. You're the champion of an entire division and you're willing to just walk away from it to avoid dealing with Aspinall's demands. That's not championship mentality, that's calculated retreat disguised as ambition, and Aspinall knows it. Every time he speaks publicly about deserving his shot, he's exposing the weakness in Pereira's entire strategy. Listen closely, because this is the part that changes everything. Aspinall isn't just fighting for a title, he's fighting for control of the entire heavyweight division's future. His refusal to step aside isn't stubbornness, it's strategic brilliance. He's forcing everyone, from Dana White to Pereira to the media, to acknowledge that any heavyweight move has to go through him first. This interim champion has essentially made himself the gatekeeper of heavyweight legacy fights, and he's not opening that gate for anyone who hasn't earned it the hard way. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to face. Pereira's entire heavyweight gamble is built on the assumption that he can avoid Aspinall long enough to establish himself in the division. But Aspinall isn't going anywhere. He's not taking easy fights or waiting patiently for his turn. This is a man who's been through career-threatening injuries and fought his way back to the top of the most dangerous division in the sport. You think he's going to let some light heavyweight come in and steal his spotlight? The psychological pressure he's applying is relentless, and it's working. Every day that passes, Pereira's heavyweight move looks less like ambition and more like desperation. And here's what makes this whole situation even more brutal. The weight cutting that's forcing Pereira toward heavyweight is also weakening him for the inevitable showdown with Aspinall. Those brutal cuts to 205 are taking a toll that won't just magically disappear when he moves up. Meanwhile, Aspinall is getting stronger, more technical, and more dangerous with every fight. By the time Pereira finally makes it to heavyweight, he might be walking into the worst possible matchup at the worst possible time in his career. That's not legacy building, that's career suicide with extra steps. So there you have it. Pereira's trapped between a body that's breaking down at light heavyweight and a monster like Aspinall waiting at heavyweight. The UFC's megacard dreams are being held hostage by an interim champion who refuses to play politics. And Dana White is caught in the middle, trying to make money while managing two of the most stubborn fighters in the sport. This isn't just about belts or legacy anymore, this is about who really controls the power in the heavyweight division. And right now, Tom Aspinall is making it very clear that any heavyweight dreams have to go through him first. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think Pereira is making a smart strategic move, or is he running scared from the most dangerous fight in the sport? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind all the hype, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this heavyweight situation is about to get even more intense. I'll see you in the next one. What makes this situation absolutely explosive is that Aspinall has been studying Pereira's game for months now, breaking down every weakness, every tell, every moment of vulnerability. While everyone else is mesmerized by Pereira's knockout power and striking precision, Aspinall is seeing something completely different. He's seeing a fighter whose entire game plan relies on specific distance management and timing that becomes useless against someone with his wrestling pedigree and ground game. This isn't just confidence talking. This is calculated analysis from one of the smartest fighters in the heavyweight division. Check this out because it reveals everything about Aspinall's mindset. In his last training camp footage, you can see him specifically working on counters to Pereira's favorite combinations. He's not just preparing for some hypothetical future fight, he's preparing for war. Every drilling session, every sparring round, every tactical discussion with his coaches revolves around one central theme: how to dismantle Alex Pereira when the time comes. That level of preparation isn't desperation. It's the mark of a fighter who sees opportunity where everyone else sees obstacles. But here's what's truly diabolical about Aspinall's strategy. He's not just holding his interim belt hostage, he's actively making Pereira's life miserable at light heavyweight too. Every time Aspinall gives an interview talking about how Pereira is avoiding the heavyweight division, it plants seeds of doubt in every light heavyweight contender's mind. Suddenly, guys like Ankaleev and Rakic are thinking maybe they can pressure Pereira into mistakes by questioning his commitment to the division. Aspinall is essentially creating chaos in two weight classes simultaneously. Now pay attention to this psychological warfare masterpiece. Aspinall has started posting training videos specifically designed to get inside Pereira's head. Heavy bag work that showcases his power, grappling sessions that highlight his ground game, conditioning footage that proves his cardio is elite level. But the genius part isn't what he's showing, it's what he's not showing. He's keeping his most devastating techniques hidden while making sure Pereira knows he's preparing for something big. That's next-level mind games from a fighter who understands that half the battle is won before they even step into the octagon. Here's where it gets really wild, though. Dana White is starting to realize that his White House megacard dreams might actually be impossible without Aspinall's cooperation. You can see it in his recent interviews, the way he talks about the heavyweight division with just a little less confidence than before. The UFC president is slowly coming to terms with the fact that Tom Aspinall holds more power in this situation than anyone initially realized. That interim belt isn't just a piece of hardware, it's leverage that can make or break the biggest fights in the sport. But wait, there's another layer to this that nobody's discussing. Pereira's sponsors and management team are getting nervous about the heavyweight move because they understand the financial implications of losing to Aspinall. Right now, Pereira is one of the biggest draws in the sport, commanding massive pay-per-view numbers and endorsement deals. But a brutal knockout loss to Aspinall could destroy all of that overnight. They're essentially gambling a multi-million-dollar brand on the assumption that they can navigate heavyweight politics without facing the most dangerous contender. That's not just risky, that's potentially catastrophic. And get this, Aspinall's team has been quietly reaching out to other heavyweight contenders, building alliances that could make Pereira's division integration even more difficult. Guys like Curtis Blades and Sergey Pavlovich are starting to vocalize their own concerns about Pereira getting special treatment. Aspinall is creating a coalition of heavyweight fighters who are all united by one simple principle: earn your way to the top or get out. This isn't just individual ambition anymore. This is collective resistance to the UFC's star-making machinery. Here's something that'll blow your mind. The betting odds for a potential Pereira versus Aspinall fight have been quietly shifting over the past few months, and it's not in Pereira's favor. Professional gamblers and fight analysts who make their living predicting outcomes are starting to see what Aspinall sees: a stylistic nightmare matchup for the light heavyweight champion. Those odds don't lie. They reflect cold, hard analysis of fighting styles, physical attributes, and tactical advantages. And right now, they're telling a story that Pereira's team definitely doesn't want to hear. But here's the most brutal part of this entire situation. Pereira's training camp is already showing signs of the pressure that Pereira's is applying. His sparring partners are reporting that he's been working extensively on takedown defense and ground positioning, skills that were never priorities in his light heavyweight reign. That's not preparation for heavyweight glory, that's preparation for survival against one specific opponent. When a champion starts fundamentally changing his training focus because of one fighter's psychological pressure, that's not confidence, that's fear disguised as preparation. Now listen to this, because it reveals the true genius of Aspinall's strategy. He's not just making demands about title shots and division rankings, he's actively recruiting public opinion to his side. Every interview where he talks about his injury comeback, every social media post that shows his dedication to the sport, every public appearance where he demonstrates his professionalism and fighting IQ, he's building a narrative that makes it impossible for the UFC to ignore him. This is championship-level promotion combined with elite fighting skills, and it's a combination that Dana White can't just wish away. Here's what makes Aspinall truly dangerous in this political chess match. He understands that his interim championship gives him something that very few fighters ever possess: the ability to say no to the UFC's plans and make it stick. Most fighters have to take whatever fights the promotion offers them, but interim champions operate under different rules. They have legitimate claims to undisputed title shots that can't be easily dismissed or postponed. Aspinall is using those rules like a weapon, And every day he maintains his position makes Pereira's heavyweight ambitions more complicated. But check this out, because it shows just how deep this psychological warfare goes. Aspinall has been strategically scheduling his training sessions and media appearances to coincide with Pereira's biggest moments. When Pereira is cutting weight for a light heavyweight defense, Aspinall is posting videos of himself looking fresh and powerful at heavyweight. When Pereira is doing media rounds talking about his legacy, Aspinall is giving interviews about his hunger and determination. This isn't coincidence. This is calculated psychological pressure designed to make Pereira question every aspect of his career trajectory. And here's the kicker that changes everything about how we should view this situation. Aspinall's refusal to step aside isn't just about his own career ambitions. It's about setting a precedent for how interim champions should be treated in the future. If he allows the UFC to push him aside for Pereira's heavyweight debut, he's essentially telling every future interim champion that their belts are meaningless when star power politics come into play. This is bigger than just two fighters arguing about who deserves what. This is about the entire structure of championship legitimacy in mixed martial arts. So here's what's really happening behind all the media hype and promotional promises. Tom Aspinall has successfully turned himself into the most important fighter that nobody wants to talk about. His presence alone is enough to derail multi-million-dollar fight cards and force champions to reconsider their entire career strategies. That's not luck. That's the result of elite fighting skills combined with championship-level strategic thinking. And the scary part for everyone else in the heavyweight division, he's just getting started.